The Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. With your hosts, Joe Bond.
You're awful.
And AJ Applegarth.
It's Sin-Shu-Chu. It's a mouthful.
All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. AJ Applegarth unfortunately cannot make it tonight, so producer Mike LaPlant's filling in his shoes. He filled in for me last week, so I guess AJ's just making sure he returns the favor. How you going, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited to talk football and watch football at the same time.
Yeah, it's always interesting. I mean, you missed most of the game, unfortunately, but yeah, this one's kind of looking like it's going to be a blowout. Like I think a lot of us expected. Tampa's running away with it so far, 21-7, with about a minute and a half left in the first half here. I think Antonio Brown has gone out with is it an ankle injury? Is what I think I saw. He has not returned.
Yeah. They just told me a leg injury.
Yeah, and then Richard Sherman went out early with a hamstring injury. So, I mean, the Bucs are all banged up on defense already. It's amazing that they can even hold these teams to what they've done so far. So, we'll see how it goes. The Eagles have seemed to have make something out of nothing, at least for fantasy. Jalen Hurts will just run a bunch in the second half, it seems like, and save fantasy owners there. But it hasn't been pretty in the first half for most of the Eagles games, unfortunately for them. So that's all we can hope for. Anyway, man, tonight we've got a pretty good show. We're talking some news and notes. We're going to be talking about the Raiders and bye weeks and what's going on with the Chiefs. And then, of course, all these major injuries. And, it's a little bit of good news with the injuries. Like, we're going to talk about some guys that are coming back and whether or not you want to, get in on them, or you're still worried about them. And then, we'll finish up the way we usually do. But before we get into things here, just want to remind everybody to hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button wherever you watch and listen to us. We appreciate your support, and it goes a long way in helping us out. Without further ado, though, man, let's do my favorite segment of the week, and it is beer.
Beer.
All right, man. So I'll go first, and it is a Kushwa Forever Trusting New England Style Double IPA. It wasn't the best by them. I gave it a 3 3/4, and I usually give most of their stuff like 4 1/4. This one didn't hit the spot, which I was surprised because I like New England Style IPAs. I like double IPAs, so it's kind of a shocker here that this one just missed the mark. So they can't get them all right. I do like the can though. I like the snake and kind of like the ZZ Top looking Forevers and stuff. That's kind of cool. I'm screwing up the R here, but yeah. But
it kind of looked like a koozie from afar. I liked it.
Yeah. All right, man. What you got?
But if you watched last week, I'm rocking the same thing. Busch Light,
Nice.
the classic. And I'm just not a big IPA guy. But
actually,
from what I hear, I hear our next segment, they really like to talk about their bushes.
Yeah. So speaking of some Busch, guys, it's a no-no, man. If you got some Busch, you need to. And I'm not talking about the alcohol. I'm good with the alcohol Busch. If you got some Busch, man, you need one of these bad boys. The Manscaped 4.0 razor. This thing's the real deal, man. I'm gonna tell you. I was gone last week with the wifey, and just gonna say she appreciated the lack of the Busch.
It was worth the investment.
Yeah, man, it was definitely worth it, and you guys can get on this too.
Happy
promo
life.
Code for F6P20, guys. It's down here on the bottom in the ticker if you're watching. F6, the number 6P20, 20% off all of their products plus free shipping. And like they got it all. Like if you've already got the razor and you need some refills, guys, they've got like deodorant for down there. They've got spritzer. They've got nose trimmers, ear trimmers. You guys, they got it. You think you need it? They got it, man. Like, you need to trim up, guys. It is the real deal. It's the way to go. And not only is it appreciated by the females, it makes you feel better, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. It's cleaner. It feels cleaner. It feels nicer, man. It does. It really does. So, get in on that, guys. Last couple days, unfortunately, possibly for our promo code to be live. So get in on this action while it's hot, guys. We got 2 days, unless we hit a certain number, and then we can keep it going. So
I'm hoping we keep it going.
Yeah, man. I always like to hear AJ, make a fool of himself on air. But this was my week for one. So, alrighty. So yeah, let's jump into things here, man. So we got. The Raiders. Yeah, sorry, I just realized I threw this on the wrong Twitter feed, and I'm looking for it on mine, going like, what in the hell? So
I was looking for it myself.
I was like, what the hell? Where'd it go? I'm trying to retweet it and stuff. Yeah, I'm all flustered here because I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on. But I found it. We're good. Retweeting it now. So, yeah. So news and notes for the week as we approach week 6. The Raiders, you got to lead with this. It's unfortunate news. You never like to see this kind of thing happen. And I'm not talking about Gruden getting fired or, him retiring or whatever he said he did, right? Obviously, what he did was uncalled for, and he deserved everything he got. It's just, you never like to see it.
Because it's such a distraction.
It is going to be a gigantic distraction for this team. I believe they do have their interim head coach in there, and I was watching NFL Live last night, and he was a coach for the Bucks when Keyshawn Johnson was there, and he was the one that was talking about him, and says the dude's like the real deal. Like, he's a good guy. He can motivate people, and all that kind of stuff, but. It's just one of those, it'll be very interesting to see how the team responds, right? Like, let's put it this way. The Raiders actually have an openly gay player. So, like, the guy sat there and, like, he took the day off the other day. I don't know if he came back today. I didn't get that news. He did return today. I kind of figured he would, but, like, to take a day off, like, it's hitting him hard after everything that, Gruden, it came out that Gruden said, right, about gays, right? And then, the NFL is predominantly black players, right? So, like, all the locker room in general, right? Like, You've got to imagine, and I have no way of knowing, but like, you have to imagine, right, that the black players in general are angry, kind of wonder what the hell is going on, and then like the white players are just going like, what do we do? Like, like, it's just an uncomfortable situation. You have to hope that they can all be professionals and move on, and you would hope that they kind of like take this as like a fuel to go forward, but it's really an unknown situation to see how this team's going to respond. And like, the last couple of weeks haven't been very good anyway, and you kind of wonder if it might snowball. Maybe this, it either snowballed, or I wonder if like they kind of heard rumblings of this like coming on, because the email threads, like there was an email that but like the fact that there was like tons and tons of them kind of came out after last week, but there was already that like one that was like already known,
just to catch the attention of the public.
Oh, exactly. So, what's your thoughts on how they're going to move forward, and maybe rally, or is it just like
I'm kind of like with you. I'm trying to think glass half full, and they can use it as a galvanizing, bring the team together moment, and do something special with it, and just prove to themselves that they're better than that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would hope so. I know
because they know they are, but now they just got to prove it again.
Yeah, There's been talk that like Gruden and Carr haven't really gotten along for a while anyway, and Carr was just kind of using the season to basically stick it to Gruden, but now maybe he doesn't have to. So like, who knows what that means? And
is this the emergence of Josh Jacobs in the passing game finally?
Oh my goodness, who knows? And that's the other thing. Like for you and me and anybody else who studies fantasy and does analysis for it. It's hard to predict this team going forward. Like, they can't come in and like drastically change the offense, week one, but you wonder if they're going to, kind of steer it slowly in a different direction. It could be positive things for Ruggs because I think they were totally utilizing completely wrong. Same thing with Jacobs. You mentioned him. And
about the only person being used right was Waller.
But you know what? Like he was starting to see a lot of bracketed coverages, and he was getting less targets. And he was still doing okay for tight ends, but not second round, worth it. And I took him first round of Scott Fish, and he had basically one good week for me. And after that, it's been like, fine.
Oh yeah,
he's been okay. Yeah, 19 target week, and after that, everybody was like, yeah, we're just gonna cover that guy, and you guys are gonna have to figure out how to beat me. It's like. And so you kind of wonder if like maybe Ruggs will thrive, Edwards will thrive a little bit, Jacobs will kind of pick things up a little bit too, and then maybe that'll open things back up for Waller as well. Like it could all be positive because the offensive play calling and the offensive scheme changes just slightly enough. I don't think we're going to see it week one, maybe not even week two with this team, but I think. As we go along, things will start changing ever so slightly, and I just have to think it's for the
tweaks here.
Yeah, I mean, you got to imagine, right? Like this special teams coach that's coming in, and I forget his name. This is a shot. He's trying to prove himself. He wants a head coaching job. He either wants this head coaching job or another one, right? Like he wants something. So this is his shot, and all these players got to play for their future contracts at this point, most of them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because when you get this like change in coaching and things like that, like it usually means a change in a lot of players too down the line. So you hope that they use it as fuel, and especially because like, hey, well now we have a little bit like I can't be Gruden's boy anymore. He's going to keep me around. That's not going to happen anymore. So. It's unfortunate, but it's obviously what we had to lead with. It sucks. You never want to have to lead with something like this, but it is what it is. So let's get back into other things here, and we'll talk about some NFL bye weeks, and they are among us, folks. This week's not terrible, but we do have the Falcons, who I guess we're missing Calvin Ridley.
Yep.
Yeah, now Calvin Ridley 2 weeks in a row. And we're missing Cordarrelle Patterson, who I never thought I'd say we're missing. Ever. Never in a million years did I say I would say those words. We're missing the Saints, who it's really Kamara and nobody. Missing the 49ers, it's Debo, really. And then the Jets, whatever. So yeah, not a terrible week for bye weeks, but next week is when we start really getting hammered here, and this is one of the bad weeks in week 7. Bills, Cowboys, Vikings, Chargers, Steelers, and then just for good measure, throw in the Jags. Week 7 is brutal, and then week 9 is also brutal, and I didn't write all those names down, but those were the 2 weeks that like every time, especially like I remember Scott Fish, first draft I do early July, right? I'm looking through and I'm like, starting to draft and just, you're picking your players and you start looking and you're like, damn, I have a lot of players on week 7 bye. Damn, I have a lot of players on week 9 bye. Holy crap. Like, what am I going to do? Yeah, you're going to get killed by those weeks. So I want to ask you, how do you prepare for these bye weeks? Do you prepare for them early? Like, do you prepare for them during your drafts, or are you just picking best player possible and just hoping things shake out?
Usually I just took best player and hoping things, shook out. Maybe I'd look at, some strength of schedule if possible. But you know how those accuracies are. I mean, none of them are really accurate in the offseason until we actually get to see the defenses going. But this year, with the bye weeks pushing into playoff weeks and
in some leagues, yeah.
Yeah, in some leagues, and then you got it right before. I took account of those ones particularly.
Excuse me.
I mean, so pretty sure the Buccaneers was one of them.
Yeah, they have a late bye week.
Yeah, and everybody's rostering Tom Brady and loving him right now.
Yep.
That's going to be a brutal one in week one of the playoffs for some of you guys. And so this year I took a little note of it, but I mean, you always go for the best player available.
Yeah, I agree. I do this. I draft, best player available. I try to do that kind of thing, but this year there were a couple of times where especially in the middle-ish rounds after I've got kind of a base, to where I go, okay, I've already got 2 players with week 7 bye. I could take this guy or this guy. This guy's got a week 7 bye. This guy's got a week, 10 bye. Fine, I'll take the week 10 guy. Just because I couldn't go with 4 players on the same bye week from who I'm going to rely on week in and week out. Because, I mean, look, I guess I could have just drafted the best player possible and hoped, imagine one of them was going to get injured eventually or something like that. But, you don't ever want that. So
No.
It's just kind of what do you do? I'll tell you, I kind of got burned in Scott Fish this week. I had a lot of random, week 6 buys, which, it's a couple of Jets players, a couple 49ers players, a couple Falcons players. But then added to that was the fact that Gronk's been hurt, Judy's been hurt, and then I've got Chris Carson hurt.
You got
I'm starting KJ Osborne because I have to. Because
I remember you telling me that you didn't even want him earlier.
But he hasn't been good the last 2 weeks, so who cares?
He's saving.
I don't. Sure. I mean, if I hadn't started him, I would have started Gio or Brait over Carson. But what I'm hoping is that maybe Carson has a miracle comeback this week and he could play, and I don't have to start Osborne because I was like Gio and them aren't going to do much. So it's whatever. I just had to take a chance. But yeah, it's random how the injuries and the bye weeks kind of compounded into one on a non-factored bye week for a lot of people. But I mean, so that's what you got to prepare for. So here's the other thing. So if you are getting hammered by bye weeks, right? Especially next week in week 9, when we're going to have a lot of teams with a lot of fantasy relevant players on it. Are you the mindset where it's just I'm just going to have to punt that week, if you want to call it that, or just play whoever I can possibly play? Or are you making trades for a bye week to be able to put a good roster out and not get an L?
I wouldn't go as far as putting trades out for a bye week unless you're, sitting there at 0-5, 1-4. Then you're desperate. Maybe you need to shake things up and do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is what you did in the draft, and the waiver wire for the first 5 weeks. I mean, you've been stacking up on depth. I mean, just kind of hoping that you have enough depth to make it past these weeks. If not, you're gonna have to reach into that waiver wire well again.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm kind of in the same boat with you, to where I go, if I'm desperate, if I am super desperate for a win, because if I have another loss, I'm probably out of it. Then yeah, maybe I trade, and you're probably having to trade and lose the trade in most cases in order to get, and that's why you don't do it.
That's why it's just desperation.
But if I'm 3-2, 4-1, yeah, 2-3 is kind of on that bubble. In those cases, I'm probably sitting and just hoping I can find last guy on my bench or two and punt them off my team. And look, if somebody picks them up, because they're guys that you want to stash and hope that they can do well. But you just have to get rid of them because you need starting players. Then fine, you got to do it. I mean, sometimes it hurts.
It's a week by week game.
I mean, that's what people have to do with kickers and defenses a lot. Like you have a good defense, you got to get rid of them a lot of times. It is what it is. So I think I would rather do that than lose the trade and just hope I get a win. Because who knows if it'll even work out for you.
Yeah, I've done it before in the past where I've started off, 1-4, and you get antsy. You want change, and then you're so desperate for change that you end up most of the time always losing that trade.
Yeah.
Losing value, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
It's just never a good strategy.
Yeah. We'll get into the trade talk later when we get into some of this injury talk, but we do have a question here before we move on, and it is from Ricardo. And is Gibson still a sell high? If so, who should I try to get? I don't know if I'm selling Gibson. I mean, his usage is way up this year than what I expected it to be. What are your thoughts, man?
I guess it's you got to target your Washington football team fans in your league.
I guess, man, but I mean, he's had a real nice year.
My only concern is always J.D. McKissick.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: Gibson's not getting passing work still. I mean, it's like 2 targets a game. It's not anything to be like, oh man, this is awesome. But he is getting way more work in the rushing game than I think we saw last year. And so, we're seeing 20, 14, 12, 13, 20 attempts. Like, I don't think we saw 20 attempts last year. And I'm trying to look back at the game logs here, but he saw 20 attempts twice last year. He's already seen it twice this year. So, yeah, it's way up from last year. Now his pass catching is down a little bit from last year. But, I think we can – he's made a lot with the opportunities he's gotten. I'm not sure he's a sell high. I mean, if you're saying sell high, Ricardo, because he scored twice last week – then maybe, but I don't know if you're going to be able to sell high, especially with a guy who is dealing with a shin injury. Like, and I would imagine your league is, privy to that, and they're not going to buy it. My leagues probably wouldn't. They're not going to give you proper value for Gibson.
I mean, if you can try and find a running back.
I mean, now, yeah, if you're stacked, I would say if you're stacked at running back elsewhere, and you can go get maybe go get like a Keenan Allen who hasn't had a great start to the season, I would 100% do that. But it's only if you're stacked at running back. And I'll be honest, there's like 3 teams in every league that might be maybe 1 team in every league that's stacked at running back at this point, because running back injuries have been brutal. So good luck, man. If you want to follow up with any questions, hit me up on Twitter at F6P_Joe. But yeah, good luck, man. All right. So yeah, I think we're done with the bye weeks here. Again, it really is, just to kind of summarize it up, because we kind of cut it short there. It's really like, hope you had enough depth prepared ahead of time. I think panic selling is a bad thing. I think your other league mates will take advantage of you.
And then you're just gonna get made fun of the whole year.
And they should. Yeah, and they absolutely should. If you're desperate, you're desperate. You got to make desperate moves. So we'll get into more of the trade talk later, because I have something I want to say about that, but we'll save that. His other Pattersons are you already said. Oh, I have Eckler, and someone wants to trade me for Fournette and Robert Woods. Here we go.
Ooh.
Another question. Thought this was the same guy at first, but it's not. Sorry about that. The chosen rose. I like it. So I have Eckler, and someone wants to trade me Fournette and Robert Woods for him. What do you think? I have Godwin, Emmanuel Sanders, and Tim Patrick. Ooh,
I think
good.
Yeah, and
Eckler's easily the best player in that trade. I think I hold, man. I know it's tempting. I don't know if I want. So his other running backs are Patterson and Gibson, who are good, but I don't know, man. I think I hold. I mean, Eckler's just such a monster. He's so involved in that offense, and The running
And
backs
he's
behind
finally
him
getting
don't.
the red zone touches. That's what's nice to see.
The running backs behind him aren't anything that you need to worry about. And so I think I hold. I mean, I know Fournette's doing well, and Brady's getting him involved, and Woods had a breakout game last week, but I don't know if that's going to continue for Woods. Like Woods has 4 or 5 games of the maybe 4 or 5 games like this every year, and then he sort of is like ho hum the rest of the year.
I think I'm holding as well.
Yeah,
you know how the running back they go thin into the.
I'd love to hear who your other receivers are after Tim Patrick, because obviously when Judy comes back, Patrick goes to the wayside again, unfortunately. But I love Patrick for now. But I still think either way, like you'll be able to find more receivers off the waiver wire than you're going to be able to find running backs, unless there's like injuries and things like that. But even then, you're dealing with. We're dealing with Darrell Williamses and Damian Williamses and
Khalil Herberts
and Booker and like these guys are backups for a reason. So like, let's be real. Yeah, I hold. So, all right, man. Let's get into. We talked about just mentioned Darrell Williams, the Chiefs. This is a little more just like pure NFL talk than fantasy, but a little fantasy too. What the hell's going on here? If I can quote some, Tom Landry here. The hell's going on here? Or not Tom Landry. Damn it. I'm stupid. Green Bay guy. That's what I meant to say. Oh, I suck. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about. I think everybody does. Yeah, I mean, fantasy-wise, like, all these guys. Mahomes is number 1 quarterback. Kelsey's number 1 tight end. Hill's, like, number 2 or 3 receiver. So fantasy-wise, it's been okay. You're happy there, but like this team looks like it's turning a bad direction, man.
It's almost like they lost the fire.
It's weird. Talked about it on Sunday with Jeff Lambert from Going for Two on the Last Call pod that we do on halftime of Sunday night games. And you were watching the game on Sunday, and it's like teams basically went, okay, we're going to double, triple coverage Tyreek Hill, and we're going to double Kelsey at the same time. Good luck. Beat me with whoever else you got, because it's not working. Now, not every defense is going to be able to do that.
It's tough to just contain one.
I don't think Washington will be able to do that this week after the way their defense has played so far this season, which is not something I thought I would say coming in. There's been other defenses that have not been able to do that. But if you look at if you look at Hill, right? You look at his season. He has like 1 week of 34 points. He has another week of 40 points. Then he's got... now I'm using DraftKings pricing, so it's a little skewed, but it's a full PPR. But 14, 10, 5, 50, and 40. Now that's full PPR. If you go to half, which is what I usually use, cut it down a little bit each week. Not exactly what you're expecting from a Tyreek Hill, but as I've said many, many times with Hill before the seasons, his consistency is not really there. Now last year it was there. Yep. Way more so than I ever thought it would be. But now it's kind of back to where. But now it's kind of back where it was, which is why I never wanted Hill on my teams. But I bought into it. I thought, okay, the Mahomes effect is real. So Hill is now a legit guy, and that's why I put Kelsey in my round 1 of every draft that I had. But it's not really working out that way. Like what is going on with this team?
Man,
especially the last couple weeks, man.
Well, at the naked eye, defense right off the bat is historically bad this year. They're on pace to have the worst defense in the league. In the history of the league, not just this year. So, man, I don't know what it is. It's almost like they're abandoning their game plan just because their defense is allowing so many points.
Yeah,
Because I mean, with the moves they made in the offseason this year, stacking that O-line after the loss in the Super Bowl, I thought they were going to, look to have a more balanced attack, run the ball, hit the play action deep, more balanced instead of just, airing it out. They're not. I mean, they're just airing it out. They're not balanced. So I think their game plan's all out of whack. But I mean, Andy Reid, he's been in the league for how many years now? I think he'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think the offense will figure things out. The other thing that pops up to me when I look at this team is the turnovers right now. The turnovers are way worse than they've been before, especially from Mahomes, and that's
Clyde
catching up.
couldn't hold on to the ball.
Well, now he's hurt, and so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it's the turnovers. It's the and again, I think some of the turnovers come from kind of what I was stating earlier, where they were, teams are bracketing coverage for these guys, and they're taking away that deep pass that Mahomes just loves to be able to connect on. He loves to be able to just kind of scramble out of the pocket, kind of turn his body and just wing it downfield, but it's not there. And we saw it a couple times in the Chargers game. We've seen it a couple times in a bunch of the games so far, where he just hasn't been able to connect on that big downfield play that has been a big staple for them, especially last season. So I think they're going to have to build into Mahomes, hey, you've got to check down. You've got Josh Gordon now. Maybe we can do some smaller routes with him, Hardman. They've got a lot of speed guys, but they're going to have to bring some of these guys closer to the line of scrimmage. Excuse me. And utilize them and bring the coverage up to allow Hill and Kelsey to get down deep. That's what I think needs to happen in order for it to balance back out. But I think if they just go deep almost every play like they have been so far, it's going to hurt them. I mean, come on, their first drive last week looked great. It was game time consuming, looked phenomenal from an NFL stance. But 15 plays, that's not the Kansas City way that we were used to. Mm-mm. And then they couldn't do anything after that. It was just kind of dink-a-dunk, dink-a-dunk, dink-a-dunk. But then they couldn't dink-a-dunk the whole rest of the game. And so it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens.
It's that gunslinging mentality for Mahomes.
It is. It totally is.
I mean, because I remember watching the game last week against the Bills. The Bills were giving them everything in the middle of the field.
Yes.
And Mahomes just didn't want to throw it there.
Yeah.
Until it was too late, and then he started dinking and dunking at the end of the game, but it was too late at that point.
Dude, Leonard Fournette is having a game. Every time I look up, he's touching the ball and he's doing well. Holy crap. Anyway.
Bye-bye, Ronald Jones.
We do have it's been bye-bye, Ronald Jones. Sorry, John LaPresto. I know you're a Rojo fan, but it ain't happening no more, man. I got another question here from Drizzy Jake. Should I trade Terry McLaurin for Amari Cooper and Robert Woods? Ooh. I like McLaurin better than both of those guys, in my opinion. However, if you need to build some depth, I don't hate it.
No, as a depth trade, it makes sense.
Only, dude, you've got to be total trash at wide receiver to give up McLaurin for those guys. McLaurin has been the real deal this year.
He's coming off a down week this week, but
he's still so much. He's so much better than those guys.
They play the Chiefs. How bad? He's gonna blow.
We'll get into that later too. But it's one of those McLaurin is doing all right for himself this year, man. Target wise, he's 8th in the NFL. Now, granted, I know the receptions aren't there, so the catch rate isn't there, but yardage and touchdowns, he's right up there, man. Cooper is one of the most talented, athletic people in the NFL, but he's one of the most inconsistent players. I know we just talked about one with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's here, Amari Cooper's here. As far as, in my opinion, as far as receivers, especially when you add in inconsistency, I just can't do it with Cooper, man. Like, you're gonna get like you watch. I'm gonna say this, and Cooper's gonna have one of his 40-point weeks this week, just because I talk trash about him.
Against the Patriots,
maybe not, but we'll see. It's still just like I can't do it with him. And I mean, the other thing you got to remember too is that Cooper is going to be, vying for targets with CeeDee Lamb, who he's losing to right now. Losing to right now. Gallup's coming back eventually. You still got Pollard in there. Zeke's going to get a couple here and there. Dalton Schultz is getting really involved. There's a lot to do there, and I know I've said in the past that you don't want to, look at, a muddled receiving core and go, because there's 3-4 guys that they can't do it. But when you're talking about two talented guys at the same time, and one's kind of by himself in Terry McLaurin, and one's trying to compete with 3 guys, if not 4, I'm going with the one. Sorry. And then Woods, we just talked about him. He's got to be up and down this week. I know he's coming off that huge 14 target game, but that's not gonna continue. They're still gonna Cup's gonna be involved heavily in that offense still.
And Henderson's starting to get involved a little bit more.
Absolutely. So I say no mostly, but man, again, like if you are desperate for some receiver depth, it's two talented guys, but you are giving. You're legit giving a wide receiver 1 for 2 wide receiver 2s, in my opinion. Which isn't bad.
No, I think it's a fair trade, but I wouldn't do it unless you need depth.
Yeah, I always like keeping the better player if I can. But I get it, and that's going to be something we're going to get into here in a second here with the major injury news. And we will start with Mr. Russell Wilson. Sorry, too many Williams in the league.
It sounds fancier that way.
Yeah, right? Williams. Yeah. So Russell Wilson, obviously dealing with the finger sprain, right? If I got my injuries right.
Yeah, the ruptured middle tendon.
That's right. Yeah, that's what it is. Not a finger sprain. Yeah, ruptured a tendon. He's going to be out for at least 4 weeks. They're saying, I'm hearing up to 8 potentially. He's out a while, guys.
I even saw an update that said he was at practice today, limited. I don't know why.
What?
Yeah.
Is he just running? Because he's not throwing the ball.
He was not throwing the ball. Whoever, I can't even remember.
Walkthroughs. I'm just there to watch. That's
put
weird.
In the tweet. There goes Russell Wilson after having finger surgery, limited at practice because
Yeah, that's interesting. All right. So anyway, what do we do about this, man? So the first thing we've got to ask with all of these is how does this affect the other team or the rest of the team? And so obviously with quarterbacks, there's more effect on the rest of the team than any other position. So we got to look at guys like DK and we got to Lockett and Carson if he ever gets healthy, or Alex Collins while he's the guy. What happens to these guys' value in the interim while Wilson is out? Because we're looking at Geno Smith, and Geno Smith has looked all right as a Seahawk, but he's no Russell Wilson.
No, I think he's going to play as well as the backup does, and the more games he plays, you're going to see it get worse. I honestly don't think that Geno Smith's going to be bad coming out the gate because defenses don't know what to plan against him. They don't know how the Seahawks are going to run their offense now with Geno Smith. So coming out the gate, I think, your expectations are tempered, but I think at the start it's going to be good, but then it's going to slowly just trickle down in value because defenses are going to start to learn what they're doing. They're going to start bracketing DK because it looks like he's his favorite target. Mm-hmm. You got an injury-riddled Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett was Russell Wilson's guy. So I think Lockett's going to take the biggest hit. But at first, you'll be fine. If you're not confident with it, I would maybe sell high while you can with the Seahawks players, but the defense isn't that great, so they're going to be passing the ball. It's
Yeah, this is a tough one, and our guy Garrett Ball on for the staff here wrote an article earlier this week about the Russell Wilson injury and just some guys that you can go out and possibly pick up. If Darnold's still out there, I think you can go maybe, yeah, he's like a number one choice in my opinion. Like if he is somehow out there in your leagues, then yeah, lesser guys here. Bridgewater isn't bad. Wentz, I know you got
Tua coming off IR.
Tua could be interesting as well. Justin Fields is starting to come around, so that's not a bad one. I mean, look, and if you're totally desperate, like Geno at least has some legs, right? And he'll run a little bit. So I don't hate picking him up if you're in like deep leagues, especially superflex leagues. At this point, you've probably made your decision and figured out what you can do. But yeah, as far as like DK and these guys, like the value takes a hit, but I mean they made it work in that second half, and I feel like Geno, is it maybe just the preseason that he's looked all right with the Seahawks? Because Wilson doesn't miss any time. Yeah, it's
this is the first time he actually missed some time.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
It's unprecedented. I'm curious to see how they run this offense now. Because I think the biggest thing that hurts them is Chris Carson not being there with the combination.
It does. It did last year, man. We talked about that with Russ coming in. Like his first half, the second half last year was so drastic. And what was the difference? The running game disappeared. So it's just one of those like Tampa Bay is about to score again. Fournette got tackled at like the 1 yard line.
Give it to Mike Evans.
They tried pass interference in the end zone on a poorly thrown ball by Brady, but they'll take it.
They're gonna run it in.
Yeah, I mean,
Tom Brady sneak.
Who do I need? Is AB back in? I feel like I saw it. I feel like I might have seen him back out there, but I don't know. I haven't seen any updates yet.
No, I haven't gotten any yet either.
That'd be nice for me because I do have AB somewhere, but he's not in right now. Anyway, yeah, I mean, and this gets back to like the trade talk here, right? And to where like you're gonna be if you took Wilson, you probably took him fairly early, and you were relying on him being your quarterback for a while. Do you trade because you're looking at 4, 5, 6 to 8 weeks gone of Russell Wilson? You need something better and probably be more consistent than a Teddy Bridgewater or a Carson Wentz or whatever likely trash is out there on your quarterback waiver wire. Yes, you can try to stream. If you do it perfectly, it will work. Good luck. I have mentioned this many, many times on Twitter, many times in my Fournette just scored again. He is wow.
That one.
I've mentioned it on the show before. Like, yeah, people will say, if you streamed this guy this week, in all season, these are the guys you streamed. You would win your league. You would have QB 5 for the entire season. It's impossible to do that. Like, literally impossible. The odds of doing that are probably about as possible as winning the freaking lottery. Like, it's impossible, man. Like, it's so hard. A, they have to be available. 2, you have to make the right call every single week.
I mean, these are humans, too.
Even I don't do that. Nobody does that crap. The best of the best don't do that, man. So, yeah, it's hard to make these trades. But, for me, it's just like, I hate having to because you're gonna have people know you're desperate if you have Wilson, right? And so again, it goes back to the the Chiefs thing where the bye week thing. I mean, people know you're desperate, and so they're gonna try to sell you on the cheap. And I honestly think it's gonna be hard to go after quarterbacks. And
they're never easy to trade for.
No, because their points are so much higher than most of the positional players that you're willing to trade up. And so people are like, well, I'm not giving you that guy for this. He only gives me, 12 points a game, and I'm giving you a quarterback gives you 25. It's not the same, guys. 12 points for a running back right now is pretty damn good. So Speaking of running backs here, we got Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the IR at least 3 weeks. They haven't said how long officially, but MCL sprain. We're looking at Mr. Darrell Williams coming in with maybe some McKisson. Who knows? Look, I'll be honest.
It's going to be McKissick in the passing game.
Yeah, I mean, McKinnon, yeah.
McKinnon.
Yeah, you said McKissick. It's cool. I almost said the same thing, I'll be honest. Yeah, McKinnon, I don't know, man. Like, Williams can catch the ball, too. I'll say this, and, over the last couple of weeks, you've seen, I'm trying to pull up my stats here. Where'd they all go? Did I close the damn page? That'd be bad on me. No, I found it finally. I'll tell you, over the last couple of weeks, you've seen, even though CEH has had some pretty good weeks, like, as far as like yardage and touchdowns and things like that, it has been Darrell Williams that has seen a lot of work and has been efficient with it. I mean, he got 5 touches last week, but he saw 10 the week before, 10 carries, saw 2 targets, got in the end zone the week before. He has seen more and more work as the season has gone along. And if you count like snaps, it's even worse. Like, yeah, CEH is getting the lion's share of the yards and things like that. But I think he was just randomly being super efficient with things, which, I mean, maybe, is a tribute to his talent. But I also think it was kind of like, we were all getting a little fooled on this one a little bit. And I'll tell you, in the Fantasy Six-Pack League, kudos to Richard Seville. He picked up Darrell Williams like 2 weeks ago. He does this crap, man. He always goes out and picks up these guys and just like throws them in the end of the bench. He's like, who knows? I don't think he did it as a who knows, like maybe Edwards-Helaire will get injured. He does it as I'm noticing a trend real quick, and he does this. He does it all the time. And that's why he's won this league multiple times, man. He gets these guys. It's amazing.
Noticing trends is big.
It is, man, and I'm slow to the draw on it sometimes with at least with my leagues. I can notice it. I'm always just like, I'll go figure it out later, and then like I just don't go to my leagues. I suck at managing my team sometimes. I've got too many of them is my problem, and I'm like, it takes so long.
Yeah,
I see
leagues.
That's why I like best ball leagues, because I don't have to do anything. But then all my guys get injured, and it's like, well, now I really can't do anything. Anyway,
Here's my donation.
So yeah, right. So what do we do? Like, what are we thinking about with Williams here, going forward? At least these few weeks while CEH is out.
I honestly think he has the same value as CEH going forward, at least until CEH is back, just because we know how explosive this offense can be. I mean, all it takes is a tackled Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce at the 1 yard line, and they're going to hand it off. I mean, it might be to an offensive lineman, but they're going to hand it off.
Well, or just do a little shovel pass to Kelce right up the middle that they did like 3 times last year. Yeah, I mean, I like Darrell Williams as and I'm trying to think. I did have my rankings still pulled up. So like this week in half PPR, although my standard is pulled up for some weird reason.
I'd say he's a solid RB2.
I've got him at 18.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean he's solid. Not somebody I'm.
He's not going to win you the week, I think, but he's not going to lose you the week.
Yeah, he's got a lot of he's got a lot of value. Going forward, at least until CEH comes back, and then it's probably more of a split workload. But I'll tell you what, though, man, like Williams again was seeing more and more work as the weeks were going on, so it'll be interesting. Like if he really booms, does this hurt CEH when he does come back? That's the thing you got to watch out for. So like it could be the type of thing where like when CEH comes back, if Williams has been crushing it, you sell CEH like the week before he comes back. Get something because people can be like, "Oh, CEH come back, CEH come back. Let's do it. I want him. If Williams has been killing it, Reed's not going to go away from him. You watch.
No.
Because he's been in that offense for a while. So, like, it can work. And
he's not fumbling the ball.
True.
That's a big thing, I think, for Andy Reid.
Yeah, we have another question here. LeBron's brain. What do you think about? So I'm guessing this is Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, T. Higgins for CMC, Darrell Henderson, and CeeDee Lamb. A lot of big names in that deal. Whoa.
I mean, you're getting McCaffrey right there.
McCaffrey's a stud, but man,
he's not playing this week.
He's probably not. I mean, there's just something about McCaffrey that kind of scares me, man. Like, he seems injury prone all of a sudden. Like,
well, the hamstring's big. Those linger all year long.
Yeah, I've had plenty of them in all the sports I've played, and I'm not trying to play at an NFL level. And man, they linger and linger. You try to play through them, you try to fight it. You're like, I can just go like 80%, and then like you make it 10 times worse.
Oh, yeah, you go that 80%, then you're down to 70%.
20. You're just out. I mean, I like CD more than Higgins. I like McCaffrey more than both of those running backs.
I don't mind Henderson. Like we said, he's getting more involved.
See, my thing is like Taylor and Chubb are both top 5 running backs, top 8 running backs at worst every single week, right? Just
it's such a floor.
McCaffrey's a 1. Henderson's like a low RB1, mid RB2 most weeks. Oh, this one's tough, man. Because they're like, okay, if you can deal with McCaffrey being out for like 1-2 more weeks, possibly, I think I'd do it. Getting McCaffrey could be huge, man. McCaffrey could be like league winning if he can stay healthy.
If he's healthy, he's the best player in this trade, hands down.
Easily. And like you're getting the better receiver, in my opinion. And Henderson is not terribly far away from Chubb and Taylor as far as fantasy value at this point. Now, real NFL value, those guys kill him. But like because of the scheme and the offense that Henderson is in, his fantasy value is way better than it should be. So I like it. I do.
Yeah, if you can sustain the couple weeks that you might have McCaffrey out a little bit longer, go for it.
Absolutely.
Because he could be a league winning.
All right, so next injury here that we're dealing with is JuJu Smith-Schuster, and this one is season ending. He had the surgery on the shoulder. So, I mean, what's your quick thoughts here on this one? I think this is going to be rather quick, in my opinion.
I think you're upticking Najee's value and Claypool's value. I mean, obviously Deontay is going to have that nice solid floor like he always has, but I think Najee and Claypool definitely are going to get an uptick in value. And Najee, he might get those 19 targets again, Joe. I know you don't like thinking that.
Hell to the no. There we go. So see what I say. Second half. Jalen Hurts going to run in for some touchdowns. He just got one. Book it.
He might be garbage time MVP this year.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, hey, I'll take it. I've got him on a team, so I need it. Yeah, obviously Claypool gets a big boost. I think Deontay gets a little bit of a boost, but not much. Najee gets some boost in the passing game. I'm interested to see if the tight ends get a little bit more work. Freiermuth is been talented. I don't really care about Ebron. And then obviously you got to look out for like James Washington. He's gonna always get involved, but I don't think you're really like relying on those guys. But I think those are guys that you want to at least like pay attention to for the next couple of weeks to like see if one of them emerges as like, especially with these like huge bye weeks coming up, right? Like. Well, of course, the Steelers have next week, so maybe the next 3 weeks. Sorry. With these gigantic bye weeks coming up, like you want to see if one of these guys can emerge as like a prayer flex play type of thing. Like, the matchup is good. Like, I need to throw a dart and just go for total upside and see what happens. That would be the only thing I would think there. I don't really think it hurts or helps Big Ben at all because he's already kind of bottom of the barrel. So. Moving on. The last major injury here that I think we can talk about is Saquon Barkely. And this one's really strange because we just have no information about how long he's going to be out. But I think this week's kind of in the bag. So we're looking at Devontae Booker, who a lot of people spent a lot of money on in Fab, especially if it's got Fish. And did you get him?
No, but I definitely spent a lot of money in Fab and other leagues.
Well, right. So my thing with Barkley Booker, which is why I didn't go heavy on him.
Money on Geno Smith.
Hey, it's got Fish. That's for real because it's super flex. You got to do it. The thing with Booker for me is, look, we've all seen Devontae Booker. He's not that good, right? We're looking at a Giants offense that is decimated by injuries, absolutely destroyed by injuries right now. Now we're gonna possibly get some of these guys back, but we could also.
Tony in the meantime,
what?
I like Kadarius Toney with all these injuries.
Yeah, I mean. Look, the thing with Booker to me, and which is why I didn't go heavy on him. I tried to go after him in plenty of leagues, but I didn't put my top money on him. I didn't put my top waiver claim on him because, look, it could be 1 week, it could be 2 weeks, and then Barkley could be back, and then Booker's nobody again. Booker could also be nobody right now. That's my thing. It's like, Booker, who's Booker? Like, he's not that great of a player, and this Giants team isn't that good. Yeah, he got in the end zone last week, but it was like a 1 yard run. Like, who cares?
You're not going to get many opportunities.
No, it's not a great situation for him, and Barkley's coming back, so which is why, like, I mean, I get it. People are desperate for running back help anywhere, so you needed to go heavy on it, but I just wasn't willing to spend like half my budget on a guy who could play 2 weeks, which is why I didn't go after P. Ryan huge last week. A lot of people were like heavy into P. Ryan because Mixon's hurt. Mixon's going to be back this week probably. So, like, what, you spent that kind of money on 1 week, guys. Sometimes you just have to, like, you have to look at the injury of the player that he's replacing and figure out if he's really coming back anytime soon. You can't spend, a quarter to a half your budget on a guy for 1 week.
No, it's a 2 week.
Not at this point in the season. It's still too early for that. But I mean, that's really all I wanted to say about Barkley. I mean, obviously, Barkley missing time from that team, kind of, in my opinion, hurts everybody. When he's in there, that offense runs a lot better. When he's not, the offense struggles. But when he's gone, it sucks because he's also a phenomenal player. I just love watching him. He's so good.
I know, 0 to 100, just like that.
Yeah. So let's do this next thing real quick. I'll just kind of run through some names here. So these are some guys, like, who do you like that's returning from injury? Maybe not this week, but in the future. Oh yeah, AB is back in. He just got a target. So I knew he was. Thought I saw him. So we're talking about some guys who are returning from injury, right? And so we're talking about Jerry Jeudy possibly coming back next week or the week after. We had Jarvis Landry. It's possible this week, but maybe more likely next week. Sterling Shepard looks like he's good this week. I have Michael Gallup likely as week 8. And then I wrote down Jeff Wilson. I thought he was coming back earlier, and then I looked it up like right before the show and saw it might be like November, like maybe even like mid-November still. But like that is still sort of an interesting one because I think the 49ers still really, really like Wilson, and none of the running backs that they're using right now seem to be like blowing the roof off. So that's an interesting one. But I want to ask you, like, who's the one guy out of this group? And if there's somebody who I didn't mention that you like and you are willing to like go trade for, maybe on the cheap because he's on the IR still or whatever.
I mean, he's not my top guy, but I will add Rashard Bateman in there. He is coming back too as well. But that's how that passing offense works. It looks like Marquise Brown is taking over with Mark Andrews. But the guy I'm really excited for, Jerry Jeudy. I mean, he showed a lot of potential in the first 2 weeks until this, unfortunate injury. KJ Hamler's out. Their wide receivers have been decimated. I mean, I know they signed John Brown, but he's nothing compared to Jerry Jeudy. I'm sold. It's Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, I like Jeudy a lot. I've got him as Scott Fish. I need him to come back now. Especially with all these random injuries I've got. It's just like, oh man. Yeah, when he got hurt in week 1, man, he already had 7 targets in like a half. It was nuts. So I was like, oh man, this is happening.
He was going to be a PPR machine.
I was like, this is actually happening. It was nuts, but yeah, Judy's the guy that I am all in on too. I think he's he should be the most expensive player to go get. And if I was a Judy owner in a normal league where trades were allowed and not Scott Fish, I'm not giving him up for anything that's not top dollar at this point. Not top dollar, I don't need like the best of the best, but I need something at least like wide receiver 2 range, or if we're trying to do like comparison with running backs, it's got to be like at least a high end like RB2 type of thing. I'll say this. Sterling Shepard kind of catches my eye, and so does Michael Gallup, for kind of the same reasons. Like, the receiving core is banged up. We know the Giants have lost Galladay. We know the Cowboys are dealing with, Cooper's been kind of banged up a bunch. He's not consistent. I mentioned this earlier, in the offseason, right? Gallup still saw like an amazing amount of targets, and his air yards were crazy good for somebody who, yeah, he's going to probably be third in targets. I get it. The other interesting thing about Gallup is like when he comes back, what happens to Schultz?
Ooh,
That's something I would really look out for.
Because Gallup had 7 targets that first game.
He was amazing.
It was great.
And then on the same side, I kind of went away from Shepard really quick. But Shepard is another guy who was performing early. Granted, Galladay wasn't, and Galladay and Tony was hurt. But it's one of those. Shepard, I still think, has a really good role. I think the one who gets hurt most by Tony or Tooney, whatever you want to however you pronounce his name, is not Shepard, but it's Darius Slayton. I think Slayton is the one who gets hurt the most by Tony. I really do. But with Galladay being injured now, seemingly more long term, I think Slayton will see the field again in those 3 wide receiver sets. But I think those are the 2 that I would go after a little bit more. You might be able to pick up Gallup a little bit cheaper. I had a couple guys in the fantasy 6-pack league go after Gallup this week on me, and they tried to give me some garbage running backs, and I was like, no, I don't care.
You're not going to pull the fleece on
I'm
me.
like, nope, like, not going to happen. I'm not giving you Gallup for nothing. Yeah,
I've waited this long.
The running backs they tried to give me just like weren't valuable anyway. I was like, I don't. Oh, it was like Latavius Murray for Gallup, and I was like, nobody wants Latavius Murray. Come on.
Nobody wants any running back from the Ravens right now.
No, not at all. We've mentioned that many times. So, all right, man, let's rip through the rest of these injuries and get on and close out this show here. So I'll do the quarterbacks and running backs, and then you can do the rest here. So running through the quarterbacks here, we got Jacoby Brissett dealing with a hamstring, limited practice, although it does look like Tua is expected to play, so it doesn't matter anyway with Brissett. We got Lamar missing practice, illness, but it sounds like it's non-COVID, so we should be okay. Obviously, we mentioned Russell Wilson. And then Daniel Jones dealing with a concussion, limited practice. So that's, I guess, a good sign that he will play. Although, if you're his coach, you had no idea he was on the practice field somehow.
Keith loved that one.
little dig. Sorry, Keith. We just got to make fun of the Giants when we can, right? That's what we do.
Show.
Yeah, right? I mean, AJ's not here, but I got to do it for him. So on the running back side, we've got Melvin Gordon dealing with a hip injury. He was limited in practice, and Kareem Hunt is also dealing with some injuries. You didn't get the limited or whatever here for him, but I think they're both probably going to play. Or no, wait. It looks like that just didn't get split off here. So totally different teams. We'll get to Kareem Hunt in a minute. So Kareem Hunt, wrist and a knee, did not practice, so not great. Nick Chubb on the same team, getting work on his calf, did not practice. I'm not hearing that there's a lot of like risk there with any of them missing time.
Yeah, it's kind of a rest situation more than injury.
I honestly think that's what it is. We do, however, have Joe Mixon dealing with an ankle, although I think it sounds like he's gonna probably play. However, Samaje Perine dealing with COVID. He got that on like Monday. I mean, he could potentially get cleared, but doesn't sound like he will. I mean, my God, if both of these guys miss time, like there's nobody on this Cleveland or the Cincy running game that I even want anything to do with, right? I mean, like, I don't know if there's anybody else.
Who's that rookie? I can't think of his dang name right now.
Chris Evans?
Chris Evans. You don't want?
I mean,
you don't
like,
want him at all?
are we? I mean, he hasn't had a single carry all year long, so like he's
Just
gotten
with the running backs,
he's gotten a couple catches, but I don't know. I mean, I guess desperation play time, sure, fine, go for it, but I would imagine I would hope you have somebody better on your bench, but yeah, that's not good. Chris Carson dealing with the neck. We've mentioned that one a couple times already. Did not practice. Doesn't sound like he's going to be good to go this week. Unfortunately, I was really hoping he would. Damian Harris dealing with a rib injury, limited practice. We got Damian Williams as of today put on COVID IR. I'm just going to do it now because I can. Go Hokies. Khalil Herbert time, baby. This dude is the real deal, guys. Look, he's not going to be like, top-notch running back, but this guy can get it done. He totally surprised me last year at Virginia Tech. Transferred from Kansas. This dude is fast and shifty. He can get it done, man. Like, do not doubt. And you know what? He saw more work than Damian Williams last week. So, I love this guy coming in this week. If Damian Williams does not get cleared, and it really doesn't sound like he will.
I'm curious to see what he does in the passing game because he didn't get a single target last week. Like, yeah, he got more work on the ground, and he did great. He averaged more yards per carry at 4.2. But I want to see what he can do in the passing game because that's what's really going to.
He caught plenty not a ton, but he caught enough last year that I think he can make it work. But let's move on here. Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift both did not practice or limited. Oh, sorry. Jamal Williams did not practice with a hip and illness. So maybe it was just the illness that kept him out. But DeAndre Swift dealing with a groin injury, limited practice. I think it's just one of those ones where you're going to have to keep an eye on it. Like there's really no telling what their status will be for Sunday. Christian McCaffrey, we've kind of mentioned where like the coach keeps saying it's 50-50, but he hasn't practiced yet this week. So my guess is he's not going to play. He's doubtful at this point. We've mentioned Barkely. Then
he should have just went on the IR.
Right. Chase Edmonds dealing with a shoulder injury, limited practice, probably going to play. And then same thing with Aaron Jones, ankle injury, limited practice, probably going to play. So go for it, man.
Yeah, so, I mean, this one really it surprised people, but it's not like it really affected us. Allen Robinson made it on the injury report with that ankle injury. I mean, it kind of helps us now. Maybe we might be able to sit him confidently. But
we're already doing that. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm a jerk.
That's right. I'm a Packer fan. I will support your Patriots and Bears. But we also got Darnell Mooney, groin. He was limited in practice as well. He's been playing, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. We got Chase Claypool. He was limited in practice again with the hamstring injury. But again, I mean, he didn't look like he tweaked it last week, so I expect him to play again. This one was a big shock to me. Mike Williams did not practice the past 2 days with his knee. That could be a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be prepared for that one if necessary. Then we got shocker Devontae Parker with the shoulder and hamstring injury again. Didn't practice. Tyreek Hill with the quad did not practice today, along with DeAndre Hopkins, but his was more of an illness. I expect him, and Tyreek Hill both to come back strong. We got DK Metcalf. This one surprised me a little bit. With his foot downgraded to did not practice this Thursday. Man,
that would be brutal. I don't know. I don't even know. I actually don't think I have. If he doesn't play, I legit have an empty roster spot on Scott Fishbowl because 3 of my players that I could have subbed in are playing today, and I didn't start a single one of them.
Oh, no.
That would be brutal. I need him to play.
Cross your fingers, Joe.
Yeah, I definitely need him to play.
We talked about Kenny Galladay. We talked about Kenny Galladay a little bit earlier with the hyperextended knee. He didn't practice. Darius Slayton, again, with that hamstring injury. Sterling Shepard, again, with that hamstring injury. And then Kadarius Toney popped up with the ankle injury too. I thought maybe it was going to say suspension underneath it.
Yeah, right. I'm kind of surprised there's been like nothing. Like you punched. Like, how is this not being addressed here, man? Same reason why the NFL won't address the Washington football team and Dan Snyder and any of his garbage. I don't know what's going on.
But then we had a couple surprise pop-ups on the injury list. Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen with the foot, Justin Jefferson with the ankle. They both didn't practice. Man,
I'm hearing it's just like Veteran Day rests. Like, hey, they're a little sore. We'll give them some rest. Like they don't need to practice type of thing. But yeah, again, these are all things that you just kind of need to keep an eye out for.
And then, bouncing over to the tight end side of things, this was positive, but we seen T.J. Hawkinson with a limited practice with his knee this week. Today.
Yeah, it is positive because there was some doubt, man. There was some doubt for a little while.
That's where I'm going to be dying. And
that's huge because they are desperate for weapons on that offense right now.
Go Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
But then just a few little defensive injuries. This one's big for the Cowboys. Trayvon Diggs with the ankle injury did not practice. We got Tyron Smith. He's not really a defensive player, but big injury possibility. Getting the MRI on his neck that had to, unfortunately make him miss 14 games last week. If he's out, it's an entire downgrade for that.
Offense. All like when he goes out, and you saw it last season. That offense is just different. He's such a force on that offensive line. So that's tough. And then I'll finish things off here real quick. And kickers are kickers, man. But hey, Rodrigo Blankenship, he's a top kicker in the league when healthy. But if you saw that game Monday night, this dude's not healthy. And he was dealing with a hip injury. He was like sitting down on the ground on the sideline trying to stretch things out, and like didn't come in for a kick at one point. And then when they got the offsides penalty, he came in. It was so bizarre. But obviously not feeling great. So you're gonna if you have him in your league, you've got to figure something else out, possibly last minute. But even if he does it, even if he is gonna play through it, can you trust it? It's hard, man, because when a kicker's not feeling right, hits and legs.
Any kicker nowadays.
Yeah, after last week, that was weird. 25 total missed kicks, the most in NFL history. That was bizarre. When a kicker is dealing with especially lower body injuries, they're not going to be accurate. And it's just so hard. They can't get the drive on the ball that they need to. It's so hard for them. So this is something that you really need to consider. If you've got good options out there, you might want to consider it. Moving on. We have another question here, and it is: should I trade DeAndre Hopkins and Courtland Sutton for Dalvin Cook?
I love that trade.
Ooh. I kind of do too, man. And if you've got the receiver depth to give up those guys,
you might be able to go to the waiver wire and just. You're not gonna be able to go to the waiver wire and get a running back, but you can go to the waiver wire and possibly get. And
you're not getting a D-Hop, and you're probably not really finding a Sutton off the waiver wire either. But of course, when Judy comes back, Sutton won't be this Sutton. But D-Hop's been kind of up and down. He almost seems a touchdown dependent at this point, which is crazy.
Yeah, he's not seeing that volume that he got.
I think if you can get Cook, I would do it as long as you're just not, as long as you're not dealing with Hunter Renfrow as your wide receiver 1, then I think you can deal with it. I think it's a solid trade.
Yeah, I like that. You're getting the best player in the trade.
So let's finish off the show here, man, with our DFS picks and fades of the week. And I'll start off here with the stack/smash plays for me. And I'm targeting that Washington-Kansas City game. We've already sort of mentioned it before, but Mahomes and Hill, and they are the most expensive players out there. Two of the most expensive players out there. $8,300 for Mahomes, $8,500 for Hill. This Washington defense, though, is just atrocious at this point. It's just hard to believe how different this defense looks. Than last year.
It's almost as bad as the defense on your next stack.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's bad, man. I don't know how it has gotten so bad, but it's just one of those, like, you know what? It is what it is, and so you target it. And, as much as we said, the Chiefs are dealing with some issues, and they've got to get through them, and they got to get more consistent, this is probably one of those get-right games. So that's where I go with it. And then Heineke and McLaurin, a much, much cheaper stack at $5,800 for Heineke. I'm actually surprised. He has been performing pretty well. 7,100.
I've seen Matthew Berry posted something about he's actually outscoring Aaron Rodgers right now.
You know what? That wouldn't surprise me. I have not checked that, but of course it's going to take me too long to figure that out. But we will figure that out later. Season.
Yep. He's QB 8.
Yeah, hang on. Oh, this is just this is on fantasy scoring. What am I looking at here? Heineke, he's 18. Rodgers is 16. Oh, this is different scoring. I don't know. Anyway, he's still doing all right, guys. So 5,800 to 7,100, and again, the Kansas City defense has been Swiss cheese this year. And so you can get something working here with these guys and save a little money on a stack and go after some of these other high-priced guys. My other stack, who I like, is maybe a little bit of a bounce back against another team that the defense is not playing well, is Sam Darnold and DJ Moore. I'll give them a little bit of a pass last week. Everybody's gonna have down weeks, but I mean the Vikings defense is not good, guys. So get this going. That's another cheaper stack, 6,100 to 7,300. And again, you can pay up for some of these guys who I really love. Devontae Adams. Chicago is like
cheaper stacks. You can get Devontae.
Yeah, right. And so it's weird because Chicago is like weirdly good against shutting down quarterbacks, but if you look at the receivers, they're not good. So it's like, I don't know how that works. I guess it's like they're giving up a lot of yards, but they're not giving up the touchdowns. And
Bend but don't break.
That's the only thing that I can think of. But Devontae Adams, like, his volume alone warrants using him. The volume is, and we said
on pace for over 200 targets, Joe.
I mean, after the first couple of weeks, everybody's kind of like, oh, maybe he's not going to see it. I mean, 7-9, 18, 11, 16 targets. Like, okay, he's back. Rodgers figured out, I got to throw to my best player again. Yeah. And so that's what it is. I love him. This isn't a super high-priced guy either here, but Darrell Henderson, we mentioned him. I love him against the Giants. The Giants are not good against running backs. They're not good against anybody. And then Jonathan Taylor, been a little inconsistent, but the last couple of weeks he's had over 100 yards from scrimmage. He's gotten in the end zone, and Houston's defense is moderately good against the run, but it's only because they usually get trashed against the pass. But I like the fact that this offense is, I think it looks like Reich has figured out he's got to run through Jonathan Taylor. And I think he can easily do it against Houston. So I like that as kind of a plug and play, smash play there for me. You want to do the fades?
Yeah, why not? I mean, this one was a tough week for the fades. I mean, but we got to put them there.
Yeah.
Lamar versus the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers defense, I mean, yeah, they gave up 42 points to the Browns last week, but that's not them, dude.
No, they've been good.
Derwin James has been running that defense like Ray Lewis back there, in my opinion. I mean, he's been doing everything. I heard Brandon Staley's comment saying that he's been running like 3 different positions while running the whole defense. So,
let's put it this way. According to DraftKings scorings, which is what I get my pricing from here, they are still allowing the 25th least, I guess I should say, points against quarterbacks at 17.2. And they allowed how many last week against the Browns?
42 points.
Yeah, so that means they've been destroying the other quarterbacks they've played, which includes Pat Mahomes, by the way.
And Lamar's going to revert back to the mean this week. I mean, he had a great game this past week against the Colts, but he's not going to do that again against the Chargers. So
yeah, Lamar's been kind of up and down, so that's my thing, and that's why this was one of the guys that I think you and I threw on here, was just the fact that like he's been sort of up and down, and the Chargers defense is really good. Lamar's had some like amazing heroic comebacks, which has kind of saved his day, but I don't buy it.
It's all garbage time, kind of.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I mean, it could happen again, I suppose, but yeah, I'm not buying it again.
Another guy we could fade here, Aaron Jones for 7,300 at Chicago. Man, A.J. Dillon, he's starting to show his value in this offense, and it's really cutting into his workload. I mean, for 7,300 on DraftKings, we want these guys that are going to get the full workload. It's a bit high, and the Bears are pretty good against the run, allowing the 25th, least number of points against the run. So it's one of those. Again, I don't like the price for what you're getting with Jones. Yeah, and then we got Antonio Gibson over here. I mean, 6,500 isn't terrible, but they're playing the Chiefs. They're probably going to get blown out. What his role is, and it's running the ball. It's not catching the ball like McKissick. I mean, he's going to get a couple targets, but it's nothing that's going to be, saving his day. Might not get that 76-yard catch and run like he did like 2 weeks ago. That literally did save his day, which is funny. A lot of people's days. But then, this one you got to monitor. I don't know what the price is on Zeke, but if Tyron Smith doesn't play, man, Zeke's going to be a high up there in the price. 7,100. Sorry, I did not write that down. Sorry. Oh, no, that's all you got to do is mention Tyron Smith being out, and I'm already kind of we're out. And then, we got to pick the low-hanging fruit here, too. Fade A-Rob and OBJ. Guys, stop it. We can't use these guys until they prove it again at this point. I just can't do it. My values here for the week are, it's obvious. Khalil Herbert with Montgomery and Williams out. He's 4,600. It's not a total punt play, but he's cheap enough that you pretty much have to put him in, especially in cash games. He's going to be high owned in those cash games. He's probably going to be high owned in GPPs, but so that in your tournaments, I think you could fade him because he will be so high owned, because you need to be different to win those and cash in those. But in your cash games, you kind of just have to go with these like kind of no brainer picks here and there, and you save a bunch of money to go get Devontae Adams. Because if you don't, you're just playing all the middle guys, and then it doesn't really work for you. I'd be if Derrick Henry was on the main slate, I'd be smashing Khalil Herbert. Oh, of course. Henry. So would everybody else. And I have every week I've played just about. Another one here is DeAndre Carter. He is a total pump play, the cheapest of the cheap, 3,000 versus Kansas City. This one is really only if De'Ami Brown and Chris Sims are out. Carter got a lot of work last week, and again, I really do think Washington's going to have to pass a lot. Now, if you go with Heineke and McLaurin as your stack, I'm not going with Carter also. But, if you want to get a different stack and save, maybe. Just so you could stack up on I think when you go with a stack, though, you kind of want those two, you kind of at least want some top value players. You want some top-notch players for the most part. You don't want to go good quarterback and total dirt cheap receiver just because to me that's not the way it's worked out in most times. But if you want to go with a guy who's going to hit value most likely if he is the wide receiver 2 for that team, then Carter could be a guy that I think could hit value pretty easily at $3,000 versus Kansas City if he is in turn the wide receiver 2. And then we mentioned his name a few times, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Look, he's gonna be the guy in Detroit. Tyrell Williams is still hurt. We got Quentin Cephas out. Hawk's back. The running backs are banged up, most likely to play still. But St. Brown's been good the last couple of weeks after a slow start to the season. And
yeah, I mean 4,200. That's a value to me, and I think he's easily gonna be a guy in my player list that I would be looking at.
Yeah, I mean Hawkinson banged up, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams banged up. He's
100%.
about the only healthy guy there.
100%, man. So, all right, I think that's it for the show, man. Thanks for filling in. We are at 28-14.
What was it, like 6 minutes left, I believe?
6 minutes total. 8
No,
minutes.
9
8 and a
minutes.
half. 8.5. Yeah, for me, 8.5. I think I'm a little ahead of you. So yeah, a little. By 8.5. They're actually handing the ball off to Miles Sanders. Holy crap! I didn't think that was possible. And of course, he had a good play. Like, hey, go figure. Hey, this guy's good. Maybe you should use him once in a while.
We gotta wait till the fourth quarter.
Not even then. It's so stupid. They use Gainwell 90% of the time. It's like dumb. Anyway, guys, that's it for the show. Again, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, give us those reviews. We appreciate it. And just thanks for tuning in, and good luck this week, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joe.
All right, man. Peace.
Peace.